Name of institution is Srimati M.D. Patel Institute of Physical Science and Research, Anand, and myself Dr. Rajiv Gupta, which I am taking lecture in BSc Chemistry. The semester is 5th semester. Subject is Analytical Chemistry. Its subject code is US05 CCHE24. The unit number is second, which is chromatography first. In this lecture, I am going to discuss on column chromatography and its experimental details. It is the second part of this column chromatography lecture. So, what is the development of chromatogram? How we develop our chromatogram in column chromatography? There are two techniques: isocratic elution technique and gradient or stepwise elution technique. In isocratic elution technique, we use generally only one solvent or a mixture of solvent throughout the experiment. Means the solvent or mixture of solvent composition does not change throughout the column chromatography experiment, that is called isocratic elution technique. But if we change the composition of our solvent mixture or we change our solvents during experiment, so that is called stepwise or gradient elution. Isocratic elution technique, here iso means same or similar, means throughout the experiment the composition of the solvent remains fixed. In this elution technique, the same solvent or same solvent system of same polarity or same nature is used throughout the process of separation. For example, chloroform, petroleum ether, etc. Means if chloroform is used as mobile phase, so throughout the process or experiment, the mobile phase will be chloroform only. But in case of gradient and elution, stepwise elution technique, the solvents of gradually increasing polarity or increasing elution strength are used. See, increasing polarity or increasing elution strength are used during the process of separation. So, somewhat some difference is that in gradient and stepwise, that in gradient we linearly increase or decrease the polarity of solvent mixture or mobile phase, but in stepwise we uh, change the polarity or nature of our mobile phase uh, with a specific time, in between time during experiment. Initially low polar solvent is used, followed by gradually increasing the polarity. Generally in gradient elution chromatography, when we start our experiment, the low polar solvent are used or composition of solvents are used, which polarity will be increased gradually or stepwise during experiment. For example, initially benzene, then chloroform, ethyl acetate, methanol, etc. Means first we start our experiment using benzene as mobile phase, then we change this mobile phase to chloroform, then this chloroform is replaced by ethyl acetate, then this is replaced by methanol. So it is a stepwise technique where we can see that benzene to chloroform to ethyl acetate to methanol, the polarity is increasing. So if we have a type of sample which has a wide range of polarity, means it contains low polar compounds as well as high polar compounds, then we generally use this gradient elution technique. But if our sample components have very low range of polarity, means these could be polar, all components polar, or all are non-polar or less polar. So the isocratic elution technique is best. Detection and recovery of the compounds. When these sample components from mixture comes out from the column, then we examine these fractions which are coming out of column using various examination techniques. The first is visual examination. If our sample components are colored and we can clearly observe their color with our eyes, then we can use this visual examination. After developing the column chromatography or chromatogram by running the solvent, different bands of components are formed. As I said earlier in a slide, that if the components are colored, then we can see with our eyes using these transparent glass columns, that these different bands of different components will show their specific colors, and we can visualize these colors. If the bands are colored, then we can detect the components visually if color of the component is known. The second detection technique is eluting the various components with various solvents. It is, however, more convenient to complete the chromatogram by eluting the various components with solvents. When the complete experiment completed, then we analyze these different fractions which are collected in test tubes or Erlenmeyer flask. The eluate is collected as a large number of fractions. As I said, eluate which is coming out from column with mobile phase, sample components which are coming out from mobile phase, from stationary phase in mobile phase. These are collected in large number of fractions, each of small volume. The large number of fractions assist in obtaining better separation of components. Each fraction is examined approximately and appropriately for the presence of these compounds by TLC method. So using this thin layer chromatography, we can check our compounds which are present in these fractions using the TLC method. Also, these compounds could be detected visually using this UV light. So ultraviolet light which is passed through these fractions which contains these compounds can be detected visually. Also, we can add some reagents, apply some reagents. When these reagents reacts with these compounds in different fractions, give specific reactions and show different colors or precipitate. So we can also use these type of reagents. So these methods, TLC method, UV light method, is a physical method where the chemical composition of the compounds of sample do not change, but in case of these reagents, the chemical composition changes. So it is a type of chemical method. Here elution of various components are shown. We can clearly observe colored components A, B, C in this column. Yellow color, red color or orange color, these components. So we can easily visualize these colored components as bands in this column which are collected in these test tubes or conical flasks as the various fractions. These fractions can be collected in test tubes, vials, beakers or Erlenmeyer flasks and can be analyzed further. This TLC technique is shown where we make small spots of that fractions on this TLC plate, and we run another experiment of thin layer chromatography, and observe that which type of component or compound or mixture of compound is present in our fraction, which is collected in various conical flasks. Other methods of visualizations are measuring the pH change of the fraction, measuring changes in conductivity. If we use conductivity experiment like amperometry or conductometry experiment, we can measure the amount of and nature of sample component in that fraction. Then measuring changes in refractive index, also refractive index instrument can also be used. So we also use UV visible absorption measurements, where fluorescent compounds present in our fractions show specific absorption of that UV lights and show color. Measuring fluorescence for quinine type compounds, which contains this quinine type skeleton. Now adding fluorescein to the adsorbent and then viewing the column under UV light. This is also a very good method, which is a physical method, where fluorescein, which is a fluorescent compound which is already present in our column with adsorbent or stationary phase, when this stationary phase or silica gel contains a specific compound which could be colorless or colored, generally colorless, then we can observe these column or chromatogram under the UV light. When we put this column in UV light, then the background will fluorescence except in those areas where chemicals are present in the column. Means in the column where all the components are colorless, generally colorless, then when we put these column inside this UV light, then we can clearly observe that this fluorescein shows a specific area in the column which will show fluorescence, except that portion of column which contains chemicals or our sample components. So we can differentiate these chemical bands present in our column from the remaining portion of the stationary phase. So we can see which type of which type of components and how many components are present in our sample. So these chemicals which are present in specific bands will appear as dark bands. So the fluorescein compound with this adsorbent will show fluorescence and will observe as a light band, and these are dark bands for chemicals. Adding dimethyl aminoazobenzene with silica gel to identify alkaloids. If we want to identify these alkaloids which are basic in nature, we can use these type of reagents. The silica will appear red colored except where the alkaloids are present. So silica will appear as red colored and the alkaloids will not show this type of red color. So these alkaloid bands in the column will be clearly shown. Adding ethereal solution of ferric chloride with alumina to identify organic compounds which react with ferric chloride to give colored compounds. So here physical and chemical methods both are combined in a single list. If we observe, this first one is a physical method, we can see that the second is also a physical method, the third one is physical method, the fourth one is also a physical method, the fifth one is also physical method, sixth one is also a physical method, but seventh and eighth are chemical methods, where these both reagents make some reaction with the compounds inside the column. Now the stationary phase used in column chromatography, which type of compounds or materials could be used in CC that are listed below. First one is silica gel. It is very good material and highly used material in column chromatography, silica gel. Also alumina gel, silicic acid, sodium carbonate, calcium carbonate, charcoal, fuller's earth, sucrose, starch, etc. These all are the suitable stationary phases for column chromatography. The most commonly used adsorbents or stationary phases or high surface area materials for column chromatography are silica gel and alumina. So these SiO2 and Al2O3 are the best and most commonly used adsorbents, and this silica gel is highly used in chemistry laboratories. Adsorbent in CC should meet following criteria. So what should be the properties in our used adsorbent or stationary phase for column chromatography? The first is the particles should be spherical shape and uniform in size, means the size of all the micron sized particles of stationary phase should be almost in similar range, means its size should be uniform throughout the column, and particle size should be spherical, because these spherical shape particles make very good packed column for column chromatography. The second thing is mechanical stability must be high, because there should not be a possibility of creating cracks inside the column during experiment. So the mechanical stability if mechanical stability is high for these used adsorbent, then there is no possibility of creating cracks inside the column. They shouldn't react chemically, though the used adsorbent should be chemically inert, so they should not react with used mobile phase or applying samples. It should be useful for separating for wide variety of compounds. So we can use adsorbent for various type of samples, polar and non-polar and semi-polar type samples. So this type of adsorbent we have to apply in chemistry laboratory that should have a very good property for wide variety of compounds. It should be freely available and is inexpensive, means it should be easily available and should be very cost effective. And these silica gel, alumina gel substances are very cost effective, so these are highly used in chemistry laboratories. The particle size of the commercially available grade is in the range of 50 to 200 micrometer for preparative column chromatography. See, this particle size range 50 to 200 micrometer, it is for specifically preparative column chromatography. But if we see HPLC, where also the column chromatography is used, their particle size is very low, around 5 to 10 micron. So for preparative chromatography, this is the size range of particles. Now the selection of stationary phase. How we choose a specific stationary phase for a specific column for specific samples. The success of chromatography depends upon the proper selection of stationary phase, and it depends on the following factors. First, removal of impurities. The stationary phase should remove impurities from our actual sample components. Generally, in preparative column chromatography, the impurities remains on the top side of the column during experiment, and the actual sample components run through the column. Number of components to be separated, means if the number of components are high or the number of components are low in number in our sample, so on that nature of sample we choose our stationary phase. So generally for high number of sample components we choose very good surface area and small particle size stationary phase, which efficiently separates these all components, and some specific stationary phase which are functionalized with some organic compounds or other chemical moieties could be used for a specific type of components. Now length of the column used. How we define which type of column we will apply, means short column or long column or wide column, that actually depends on the amount of our sample. If our sample amount is high, then the length of the column should be high. Also another key factor is if our sample components have low retention time, suppose they contains low retention time inside column, so it is possible that many components may elute very fast and comes out from the column at the same time. So to separate that low retention time components effectively, we have to use long columns. Affinity differences between components. If affinity difference between components is high, then the short column are sufficient, but affinity difference is low, means all the components have almost same affinity, almost same, not similar exactly, almost same affinity towards or we say almost same polarity, then we have to use the stationary phase accordingly, or we have to apply that column accordingly. Now the quantity of adsorbent used. How many quantity we have to apply for this column, this also depends, this also shows how and why we use this specific stationary phase, which type of stationary phase we have to apply. This overall we can say that it depends on the amount and nature of the sample, amount and nature of the sample. Okay, these adsorbents are sold in different mesh size. This mesh size actually shows the surface area of that adsorbent materials and particle size of that adsorbent materials. If the particle size is low, then during packing of that column, per unit area of that column shows high pore number. Per unit area high pore number means that material has high mesh, that is called high mesh. If a material forms high pores per unit area, then we can say that it has high mesh. But the pore numbers per unit area are low, then we will say it is low mesh adsorbent, as indicated by a number on the bottle label, such as silica gel 60 or silica gel 230 400. This is the match size which is already written when we purchase a bottle from market. So these are already available in market as a graded form, silica gel 60 or silica gel 230 40, which are actually these 230-40 are related to match size, means pores per unit area. These are the related to pores per unit area when we prepare our column. The larger mesh size, the smaller the adsorbent particles. See, if we want to increase mesh size, then we have to use smaller size particles. Silica gel 70 to 230 is used in gravity column chromatography. Okay, here the particle size is high. See, if mesh size is low means the particle size of that adsorbent is high. If mesh size is high, it means the particle size of that adsorbent is low. So here the mesh size is low, it means the particle size is high, means the particles are uh, larger compared to this. So here the spaces or available in between these particles will be higher, so the movement of the mobile phase will be easy if we use only gravitational force for the movement of that mobile phase. So in gravitational or gravity column chromatography, we generally use low mesh size adsorbent, but if flash chromatography technique is used where we apply high pressure on our mobile phase, then high mesh particles are good or low size adsorbent particles are good for this technique. So we know that in HPLC, in column chromatography, column chromatography, we in HPLC where we apply high pressure using pumps on mobile phase, these mobile phase flow from the column very slowly because HPLC columns contains very small sized silica gel particles or it contains very high mesh size uh, column. Now the mobile phase used in CC, these are the mobile phased which can be used in column chromatography: petroleum ether or simple diethyl ether, carbon tetrachloride, chloroform, acetone, benzene, toluene, water, pyridine. So we can say a range of mobile phases where some are very non-polar, some are very polar, and some are semi-polar, means the polarity is present in between. The choice of an eluting solvent is very important for the successful separation of a mixture of chemical compounds because the chemical compounds which are present in our sample also shows interaction with mobile phase molecules. Polar solvents elute polar molecules more rapidly and vice versa, means polar solvent elute polar molecules and non-polar solvents elute non-polar molecules more rapidly. So it actually depends on the nature of sample. If our sample is polar, then we have to use polar solvents. If our sample is non-polar, then we have to use somewhat non-polar solvents. And if our sample contains both type of polar compounds, polar and non-polar, then we can change our mobile phase composition during experiment in gradient elution chromatography. Now the factors affecting separations, factors due to stationary phase. Some things we have already learned. The particle size of the stationary phase, it affect the separation efficiency. If the particle size is reduced, see, reducing the particle size increases the surface area and improves separation. Means if we reduce the particle size, then the mesh size of the column increases, means the pores per unit area in the column increases. So the column, the mobile phase in column or stationary phase shows more interaction, so the separation will be improved or separation will be more efficient. However, if particle size is reduced, then the flow of or the rate of flow of mobile phase will be decreased. So in that case we have to use flash chromatography where the pressures are applied to move that mobile phase fastly. In HPLC generally very fine particles are used as adsorbent, as I said. So here flow rate is very low, so we have to apply very high pressure pumps to push the mobile phase inside the stationary phase. But in case of HPLC, we get very good separations, very efficient separations in very short columns, in very short length columns. Now the second thing is adsorbent activity. If adsorbent is more active, then it will show more interaction with mobile phase and will give better separation. So the choice of suitable adsorbent is very important. Now the uniformity of packing of column. There should not be any cracks or air bubbles or other things inside this packing. So the packing should be very uniform. So this uniform packing will give very good separations. If the stationary phase is not packed uniformly, then the bands will be irregular. Bands, the bands of samples, components. The sample components bands will be irregular and resulting in poor separations. So the packing should be very uniform in the column. Concentration of the mixture. The proper ratio between sample to be separated and the amount of the stationary phase is very important. Too much samples resulted in poor separation. Means, as I said earlier, that if our amount of mixture or amount of sample is very high, then accordingly we have to use large amount of stationary phase, or we have to use longer and wider columns. So according to that sample amount, we have to use our column. Now the factors which affect the separation depends on mobile phase. So how we choose our mobile phase? The selection of proper mobile phase, it is very important. Very polar mobile phase will wash out all components without any separation. So we don't use very polar mobile phase or very non-polar mobile phase. We have to use that polarity which is suitable for our sample. On the other hand, very non-polar mobile phase will result in broader band and poor separation, because generally we use this technique for the separation of organic compounds mixture. So generally organic compounds which could be very polar or non-polar. So if these are very polar, then if we use very polar mobile phase, so these will flow very fast inside column and will not separate efficiently. Also if we use non-polar, then we will not get good separation. Now the polarity, choosing of the polarity of that mobile phase is a key factor. So for this purpose we need to change the polarity of the mobile phase by mixing two or more solvents which have different polarities. Rate of flow. Slower flow rate usually resulted in a better separation and narrower bands. So during experiment, the mobile phase flow rate should be low. It should be not very fast. Consistency of flow. The continuous flow of the mobile phase during the whole experiment gives better separation. Means this consistency should not break. Means as the mobile phase moving through the column, the amount of mobile phase at top side of the column decreases. So we have to add this mobile phase time to time on the column. So this should not break, or should not this flow should not break during experiment. The choice of the solvent is depend on the solubility characteristics of the mixture. The solvent should also have sufficiently low boiling points to permit ready recovery of the eluted material. However, polarity has seen the most important factor in adsorption chromatography. In case of adsorption chromatography, this polarity is a main factor, because in polar stationary phase, the polar components show very good adsorption on this stationary phase. So this polarity is a main factor or important factor in adsorption chromatography. But in case of partition, in partition chromatography, generally the stationary phase is non-polar. Generally stationary phase is non-polar, where we say it is a type of reversed phase chromatography. Stationary phase is non-polar, so here non-polar interactions takes place. So polarity of that compounds or samples, or polarity of the used solvents or mobile phase are not important or less important in that of partition chromatography. Now the column characteristics, the main function of all the columns is to support the stationary phase. Obviously it is the work of this glass material column which supports this stationary phase. The material of the column is almost good quality neutral glass, since it shouldn't be affected by solvents. So the used material of the column, obviously we use glass, so this glass material does not react with any components of this experiment or this stationary phase or mobile phase. An ordinary burette can be used as column for separation. Now column dimensions, as I discussed earlier, the length and diameter ratio could be this type: 10 raised to 1 or 30 raised to 1 or 100 raised to 1. This is the length diameter ratio which can be chosen accordingly what type of sample we are applying or what type of column we are using. The length of the column depends upon number of compounds to be separated. The number of compounds, how many compounds. If number of compounds are high, then the length of column should be high. Type of adsorbent used. If the adsorbent quality is very high, means its surface area is very high, then the shorter lengths are sufficient. Quality of the sample, quantity of the sample. If quantity is high, then we have to use larger columns or longer columns. Affinity of the compounds. If affinity of the compounds are high towards adsorbent, so the shorter length are sufficient, but affinity is low, then we have to apply longer length column. Better separation will be obtained with the long narrow columns than short thick columns, because number of plates will be more. So in a theoretical concept is that theoretical plates, we consider theoretical plates in the column. So long and narrow columns show high number of theoretical plates, but these shorter and thick columns show wide theoretical plates. So these high number of theoretical plates means the separation is better, separation is more efficient, and these number of plates, theoretical plates, also depends on the nature of our used adsorbent. If our adsorbent has high surface area and high mesh size, so obviously the number of theoretical plates will be high and the separation will be better. Now the factors due to column dimensions, this is discussed. Also the column temperature. If we increase the temperature, then the flow of mobile phase, flow rate of mobile phase will be increased. Also the adsorption is directly depends on the temperature. If we increase the temperature of column, then the adsorption of sample molecules on the stationary phase decreases. So the elution speed increases. Elution of various components increases. This may lead to decrease in the separation efficiency. So which column temperature? Generally we do preparative chromatography or column chromatography at room temperature. Generally these experiments we do in at a room temperature, but if column temperature is required, then we have to apply some column temperature using some assemblies. Now the second is column partition chromatography. So in previous lecture I'm talking on adsorption partition, adsorption chromatography, column adsorption chromatography, but something is here for about partition chromatography. The partition chromatography is a reversed phase chromatography where the stationary phase is somewhat non-polar and used mobile phases generally could be polar or semi-polar. The separation of a component in partition chromatography is based on the partition coefficient of the individual components of the mixture between a liquid stationary phase and gaseous or liquid mobile phase. So here two techniques, gas chromatography and liquid chromatography, are shown where these sample components from gas or liquid will be dissolved or solubilized in liquid stationary phase. So these liquid stationary phases are actually the high surface area materials which have a thin layer of a liquid, which could be a organic liquid, a hydrocarbon, which is coated over these fine particles. So the partition chromatography may be conducted in either two ways, that are normal phase and reversed phase. In normal phase the stationary phase is polar, but in reversed phase the stationary phase is non-polar. So these are the properties are shown for that specific normal phase. So here it is polar in normal phase, where only silica gel used as stationary phase or adsorbent, and no functionalization is done over silica particles. But in case of reversed phase, the silica particles are functionalized with some organic compounds or organic moieties or hydrocarbons. These are covalently binded with these silica particles, so it work as now reversed phase. Here mobile phase is non-polar, but in reverse phase it is polar. Now compounds eluted first, these are non-polar compounds because our mobile phase is non-polar. So these non-polar compounds will be more soluble in non-polar mobile phase, but these don't show any interaction or very less interaction with stationary phase, which is already polar. So here the non-polar compounds elute first or comes out from the column first, but in case of reversed phase the polar compounds elute first, and the last is which is eluted, it is just opposite, it is polar and non-polar. Now the examples of stationary phases are, these are silica gel, and here also silica gel which is coated or which is bonded with these uh, hydrocarbons which contains 18 carbon atoms, C8, like octadecyl silane, ODS, octadecyl silane functionalized silica gel, or C8 bonded phases. Now the frequently used in CC and TLC. In preparative chromatography, generally in preparative chromatography or preparative column chromatography and TLC, these type of normal phase chromatography is used, and in HPLC specifically these reversed phase systems are used. So the stationary phase in this partition chromatography, as shown here, we can see that this core particle is a solid inert support which could be a silica gel, and it is coated or functionalized with organic moieties like C18 or C8. Here partition takes place where the sample molecules will be solubilized or dissolved in this or partitioned in this liquid stationary phase. In partition column chromatography, solid materials are used solely as a thin layer to support the liquid stationary phase. The liquid used as stationary phase is polar in nature. For example, water or aqueous buffer solution. So this is the actually normal phase chromatography where the polar stationary phase is used as liquid, but if we use non-polar then it will come into the reversed phase. Silica gel is most convenient supporting material for this liquid stationary phase because it is capable of retaining considerable volume of liquid phase. Cellulose powder could also be used as supporting material for these liquid phases. Organic liquids or solvent may also be used as stationary phase, like Kizilgar is commonly used as supporting material. Mobile phase, the solvent system which is used for column adsorption chromatography, may also be used for partition column chromatography. Now in reversed phase, generally C18 columns, ODS, silica ODS columns are used, where octadecyl carbon chain, carbon 18, total 18 carbon chain is bonded with these silica particles, silica gel particles. So it work as a hydrophobic stationary phase, hydrophobic liquid stationary phase. So this is reversed phase chromatography. So these all the hydroxyl groups which are present on this silicon atom in silica gel, these OH groups, in these OH groups the hydrogen atom is replaced by this hydrocarbon chain, which is C18 chain, could be C18 chain, C8 chain or C4 chain or more. So here this alkyl group is a hydrocarbon chain which provides this polar silica material or silica gel material non-polarity, means this polar stationary phase becomes non-polar or hydrophobic when we attach covalently these type of organic moieties. So the silica are derivatized by ODS, which is octadecyl carbon chain reagent. So the remainder are the reacted with trimethylsilane in a process called capping to reduce the adsorption effects. So here in place of adsorption, actually the partition takes place in between mobile phase and stationary phase. So these are the applications of column chromatography. First application is preparative and the second application is analytical, means in both areas this column chromatography technique is highly used. Separation of mixture of compounds when we use as preparative CC. Purification process in a chemical reaction, if we want to get a pure product, then we have to apply this CC technique, column chromatography technique, for purify that product. Isolation of active constituents, estimation of drugs in formulation, which type of drug molecules are present in our formula, their estimation, isolation of active constituents, determination of primary and secondary glycosides in GTLS leaf, separation of diastereomers. Also in preparative chromatography, during a chemical reaction, we can control that reaction. If our chemical reaction is in the middle part or it is completed, we can check using this chromatographic technique and these TLC techniques also. Now the advantages, CC is advantageous over most other chromatographic techniques because it can be used to separate and purify substantial quantities of components from a mixture. So one very good advantage of column chromatography is that we can easily apply it any chemical laboratory for a high amount of sample quantities, means in grams. In large quantities we can easily separate using this technique. But the disadvantage are, first is packing of column requires some technical skills, means by practice, many practice is required, then that person which is practicing this column chromatography will get some skill for the packing of column. The technique is time consuming and tedious, especially for larger samples. Utilizing gravity column chromatography technique, because in gravity column chromatography the flow of mobile phase or solvent is slow, very slow, then it requires a very huge time, very large time, so it is very time consuming technique. Also, if our sample amount is very high, then to separate it completely it is very time consuming. It requires large amount of solvents. very large amount of solvents are required. Means to separate 2 or 3 gram of samples, we may require very large amount of solvents, like in liters, 5 liters, 10 liters could be. Means the solvent is very requirement is very high. And also we know that these solvents are very costly. If we use analytical grade solvents, it requires constant attention while the experiment is being performed. So during this running experiment, we have to add this mobile phase on the top side time to time. Also we have to collect the sample fractions time to time within some 10 minutes or 15 minutes duration. So the operating person during experiment, that person should have to remain present near that column. If that column suppose run for 5 hours or 10 hours, then that person should remain present near that experiment, because if we leave the experiment for some time, then there could be any problems, like mobile phase could be consumed in the column or other things. So we have to remain present during experiment. So this is also a disadvantage of this technique. Collection vessels, I am saying about preparative chromatography, because this column chromatography generally in laboratories are used for preparation or separation of compounds. Collection vessels must be frequently changed and solvent should be added continuously. So here it is clearly shown in this line that how it is very time consuming, because we have to frequently change our collection vessels where the various sample components are collecting, and also we have to add continuously our mobile phase on the top of the column during experiment, because this mobile phase will be consumed or is moving down through the column. So we have to regularly continuously add this mobile phase on the top of the column at a rate sufficient to cover the adsorbent. So this was all the about of this column chromatography. Thank you for listening the lecture.